In the last 12 months, I've made over $80,000 by holding this one stock. For my portfolio, that was over a 300% gain in just this one position. And when you have a position that gets a gain like that, you try to replicate it over and over again. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my thought process for choosing the stock, why I'm still holding on to it even right now despite the massive gain, and how I'm going to work to replicate the same strategy in my portfolio over and over again with other companies. Let's get into it. As always, this video is for education and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice. And if you have specific questions about your financial situation, you should seek a financial professional that can speak to your specific situation. So education and entertainment purposes only. Growing up, I heard a story from my mom that just never left me. Back in 1968, my mom's dad, my grandfather, made $250,000 in the stock market trading in one day. I looked that up, and the equivalent that's roughly about 2.3 million in today's dollars. And I've always thought, man, it would be great if I could do that. Now, I gotta be honest, I have not hit that level yet, not even close, but hey, you gotta start somewhere, and I'm really excited about this $80,000 gain that I've seen in the last 12 months in my portfolio. So one thing I used to ask my mom was, what was Grandpa doing? How did he figure this out? How did he make all that money in one day? And she would tell me, your grandfather never really watched much TV. He spent all of his time reading. He'd read the Wall Street Journal, Time Magazine, and she just listed out a whole list of books and papers that he just kept up on constantly so that he could follow the market. As I would think about this situation, I would constantly wonder, what did he find in the news that would allow him to make such a great investment decision the way he made it that day? And as I got older, I started to realize that he was probably reading to understand where financial markets were going, where the world was heading, and then working to invest his money into technology, into companies that were already heading into that space. If you want to make big jumps in the stock market with individual stocks, it starts with doing a lot of research and then taking some educated guesses about where the world is going. And I came up with a simple 3-point framework to support what my thought process is and what I believe possibly my grandfather's thought process was when he was doing this. Unfortunately, he passed away before I could ask him these questions. He passed away when I was 5. So as I heard these stories as he got older, unfortunately, he wasn't here for me to ask. So this is what I think that he was probably looking for. Number 1 is, where is the world headed? Number 2 is, which industries will benefit the most? And number 3 is, which companies inside of those industries will be the front runners? Over the last 30 years, we've seen this play out with companies who've adopted computers, internet technology, and other cutting edge software have outperformed their peers by far. Also, companies who've worked in growing in the tech space, building tech tools, computers, cell phones, and all tablets, all kinds of stuff over the last 10 to 15 years have been some of the best performing companies. Everything has all been about tech, but that's where the world has been going over the last 10 to 15 years. So where is the world going now? So it was a little bit over a year ago. I woke up in the middle of the night and just started to pray. I wasn't able to sleep. It was about 2 in the morning, and I felt something deep in my spirit telling me to start looking into a company that I'd never really considered buying their stock before. I never even looked at their stock price, didn't know anything about it. And so over the course of the next few days, I started looking into it. And I just want to be clear, like, I'm not trying to get on some, spiritual, mystical or whatever stuff. But sometimes, I pray and I just ask God, hey, quicken my mind. And in this particular night, I wasn't even praying and asking about a stock recommendation specifically. I was just praying and asking God to quicken my mind, and I felt something drop in my spirit. And I want to say that if you ever do pray and ask God to quicken your mind and you feel something drop in your spirit, God always sends a confirmation. So make sure you get a confirmation first. Once again, this is not investment advice, but I'm just sharing with you my process. So he dropped something in my spirit, and actually it was the company Robinhood. And I looked up their stock, and at the time their stock was trading right about, it was going back and forth between $19 and $21. And so the next day I shared it with my wife, Laura. I was like, hey, babe, I'm like, I just was feeling in my spirit that I need, that I was feeling that in my investment account, I should double down and take a large position in Robinhood. And she said, hey, do your research, look into it. And if that's what you feel like you should do, go ahead and do it. And so, but one thing is that when you're looking to take a big position in a company, you want to also ask yourself these 3 questions. And these are 3 questions that I asked myself before I did this. Number one is, can I afford to be wrong? Number two is, what's my max downside? And number three is, what's my time horizon? When I asked myself these questions, I'm like, yes, I can take a big position in this company. And if I'm wrong, hey, I'm not going to be homeless. Things are still going to work out. My max downside was just losing the amount that I had, that I was going to put in there. And initially it was going to be about $5,000 or $6,000. And as I continued to make my investment, it turned into, I ended up buying 1,080 shares. So it was about a $26,000 investment. So it kind of grew. I bought about 1,000 shares over the first month. And then a few months later, I bought 80 more shares. And so, and what's my time horizon? I was like, hey, I'm putting money in this position that I'm not going to need anytime soon. So it's like, if the position goes down or if it goes up or whatever it does, it's not really going to matter. And I think when we're starting to invest, you want to make sure that when you're deploying money into the stock market and companies, you want to make sure that you're using money that you're not going to need to pay your bills, that you're not going to need to do something that you want to do, that you weren't going to use this to go on vacation or to send your kids to school. This is money that you have specifically for investing. So I want to make sure that you understand that, because if you start using bill money to do things that you're supposed to be doing, this could be turned from investing to gambling, and that could be, could not be great if the market goes the other way, a different way than what you're expecting. So, I put this money in, and actually what happened was I put it in it when I bought a lot of shares at $21 a share. Then they went down to $19 a share. Of course, that's just what happens. But then little over little, it went, 22, 25, and it did what the market did. It went up, went down, went up, went down, went up, went down. And I wouldn't have guessed that 12 months later that the stock, that my position, my average cost per share was roughly about 23 and change, and that over the course of time that it would go up. Then all of a sudden the stock was worth $100 a share just a few days ago. I think at closing today it's right around $94. So I had no idea that was about to happen. But one thing is that as I started to do my research and look into where the company was going, I'm like, hey, one thing is that they're doubling down on crypto. I'm actually a big fan of crypto. They were widening their geographical services of where they offer. They bought a couple companies in other countries, and they were just building out. They're also offering, new tech innovation in their space. And I was like, hey, I believe that this company is going to be a front runner in the fintech industry. I mean, they already are, but I feel like they have so much more growth potential with just the way their platform is set up, some of the ideas that they have. I started reading regularly news articles about what they were doing, projects that they're working on, how they're involved in the community. And now let me tell you that once again, this is not a plug. I'm not telling you to invest in Robinhood. I'm not telling you to do what I did. I'm just sharing with you what I did, and just, and this was the outcome of it. And so I think that there's multiple ways to invest and to make money, but I just wanted to share with you some of my just behind the scenes thought pattern and strategy that I've gone over in the last year. So as I close out, I want to give you a few key takeaways to think about when you're looking to invest your money in the stock market. This is if you're not doing an ETF that's invested, or a mutual fund that's invested in a bunch of companies. But if you're looking at individual stocks, I think I'm sharing my personal investment strategy. I think it's important to look at, where is the world headed, which industries will benefit the most, and which companies will be best positioned in those industries. Those 3 points, I like to identify companies that are hitting all three of those. And then inside of that, when you're trying to figure out how much to invest, I think you should ask yourself, can I afford to be wrong when I make this investment? What is my max downside, and what is my time horizon for this investment? And when you come up with answers for all of those, if you can answer all of those and you're able to answer them in a way that you feel clear on the company you're investing in, the position, the direction it's going, the amount of money that you're going to invest is going to not hurt you financially if you're totally wrong, because every time you can't hit a home run every time you go, unfortunately. I mean, professional baseball players bat 300, and 400, so it would be an amazing score in MLB. So, ask yourself these questions and get clear. Of course, you want to do your research, understand where the markets are going. If you know the Lord, pray. I mean, I feel like it's a superpower. If you can get some clear direction, that's always a great thing. So as we close out, if you have some questions about coming up with your investment strategy, if you'd like to connect, there's a link below. Feel free to book a call. We can hop on a complimentary call and we could just workshop some things. So yes, so have a great day, and we will see you in next week's video. Bye-bye.